No, you take that back about Space Jesus.
So boring.
You take that back about Space Jesus.
Boring.
You take that back about Space Jesus.
All the Jedi are boring. I could watch them all die and I would be
Mace
satisfied.
Windu is great.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Three Guys and a Pie podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan, here with my co-host, Gary.
Hi.
And our guest, once again, Aaron.
I'm out of things to say now.
So, I think Gary's going to take the explanation on this one.
Yes, I love movies. I watch them a ton. Aaron, I know you like movies probably not as much as I do.
No, but you just said you really like them a ton. They're fun.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jonathan hates movies as a medium.
So, it's not I don't think it's fair to say I hate movies. They're just not my preferred form of media.
So
you view them as an inferior form of media.
Yeah, as people do when they rank their preferences. By saying I like TV shows more than movies inherently means I think movies are inferior to TV shows, or I wouldn't prefer TV to movie.
So talk about that a little bit to start us off. Why do you think TV shows are superior to film?
They're just able to tell a better story.
But why? Like what makes
they have more time to tell a better story. They don't have to just gloss over things. I think a lot of movies are too ambitious. They try to do too much in too short of a time, and that's the benefit of TV shows, is you can go more in depth.
So you're saying that if Lord of the Rings was a TV show, it would have been better?
No.
Okay, but why then?
Because they were able to cover enough of a predefined story. You're talking about something like with the Lord of the Rings is a weird example to pick because you have enough content there for a season of a TV show.
But just a season.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all you need that's the benefit of a TV show.
But I think more people, when they're looking to watch a TV show, they're looking for more than just a season.
See, that's the problem though. Is if something's able to tell its story over 9 hours, that's a decent amount of content. You can tell 9 hours is considerably longer than the length of most movies. And that's even exceptional for some movie series. Unless you're talking about Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, things where the length is you're getting over 9 hours. But a typical TV season is 6 hours. So you could probably turn the Lord of the Rings into a 2-season show. If you're assuming half-hour episodes. And actually more because they did have to cut stuff from the book to make it into the movies.
So why wouldn't you just also, instead of having TV shows, just make multiple length movies, full length movies?
You could.
But would that diminish would that diminish how you feel? What's one of your favorite TV series?
MASH.
MASH? Okay, yeah, that one would be kind of hard.
Yeah.
That one would be kind of hard, but pick anything that's not MASH.
The episodic structure.
Yeah, the episodic structure is what,
right.
You're a lot more flexible in what you can do than just a feature-length movie.
That's understandable. Aaron, how do you feel about movies versus TV shows?
So I like movies, but I will agree, a lot of what Jonathan said is the kind of stuff that I don't like about movies. Having to fit within an hour, 20 minutes to 2.5 hours for most films can be an awkward length of time depending on what you're trying to do in a story, right? So, I love The Lord of the Rings, but they're obviously not normal length movies, right?
Right.
Because they're each 3 hours or more or something crazy like that, right? And even then, the points where they snip it into 3 movies can be kind of awkward. Some people like how they did it. Some people don't like how they did it. And like you said, there's a lot of content that was still cut. If you look at The Hobbit, for instance,
oh my God,
that was dragged out way longer than it needed to be. And they cut tons of stuff from the book. So, it's the worst of both worlds. And yes, maybe a lot of people say, oh, let's condense it into 2 movies instead of 3 for The Hobbit. And, that could work. But what if you're not trying to force it to be a movie-length thing, right? Rather than have 2-hour movies or whatever people wanted to condense it down to. Why don't you just have 4 1-hour episodes or something? Depending on where you cut episodes of a TV show can lead to make things more dramatic or just nice and, in one sitting you can go watch this part of the story. It makes sense. It's good. Then you have time to kind of digest what you saw and then you can jump into the next episode, right? Whereas a movie is just one long continuous
where you
story.
where you can kind of like get lost, or you can miss something and it's detrimental for the whole story. I can see that. My big problem, and why I like movies a lot more than I like TV shows, is the repetitiveness of television series. I despise it. I don't know, have either of you two seen House, the TV show?
No.
Like the Doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
familiar with it.
Okay. I can write a episode of House right now. Something bad happens to a patient. Patient comes in. House thinks it's this. House treats for that. Patient gets better, then patient gets worse. House doesn't know what's going on with the patient. Patient is dying. Bad things, bad things, bad things. House does drugs, figures out what is wrong with the patient, saves the patient like 20 minutes before they die. That's a House episode. That structure fits almost every episode of House.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's a formulaic TV show.
And I despise it. I hate it so much.
Those are probably the minority of TV shows.
I would say most longer running series follow formulas like that, though.
Yeah, when you're talking about things like the NCIS.
Things that are
like,
mainstream, things that are popular, things that are long running.
Yeah.
Yeah, like House, NCIS, CSI, Big Bang Theory.
Well, that's just a terrible TV show.
Seinfeld, too, did it.
Comedies are kind of a different thing, because like that's all about the jokes.
Yeah.
They're not... Although Seinfeld did a kind of okay job of telling an overarching story, but it wasn't... Seinfeld wasn't about the story.
No,
it's about
it was
the
a
fact
show
that
about
it's
nothing.
funny.
Yeah.
Literally, it's
yeah.
not about the story because it's about nothing.
I do really enjoy Seinfeld, though. I will say that. But yeah, just that's my main qualm with television series nowadays. I just feel
You're
like...
just watching the wrong TV then.
Am I, though?
Yeah.
Like, what? But what else? What else is
The
there?
Good Place.
You've talked about The Good Place before. Isn't that Netflix?
So
series?
as we get away from cable and having to have commercials and having to have TV fit in particular time slots, it opens up a lot more flexibility for variable length TV shows, like episodes, right?
Mhm.
They don't have to be 30 minutes or 22 minutes with commercials, whatever, or 45 minutes with 15 minutes of commercials,
Mhm.
right? So you can split your story up in the way that makes it the best story possible.
Right, but then, even then, you're still making more of a movie-like television show than what I would view a made-for-TV show is. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, but it's still a TV show, not a movie, though.
Right, but you're getting closer to having a movie. Whereas you could just mash it all into one, like, Netflix binge session, and it's like you watched an entire movie series.
Yeah, but you can't mash episodes into each other when you're talking about like a 12-hour runtime movie. There would like if you're trying to make it into one continuous 12-hour movie, there's never going to be a good place for you to pause. No one's ever going to be able to sit through that, which is the benefit of having clear, defined segments that are easier to digest over the course of 12 to 24 to 36, depending on how long the season is.
I guess I'm probably biased as well, because I like a lot of... I can... For television shows, if the TV show is bad, I hate it unconditionally. I just cannot deal with it, not even an ounce. But if there's a bad movie, I will cling on to things with that film like a lover's embrace.
I just see that as some weird, irrational bias.
I don't really understand it. I don't. I really enjoy bad movies, and I really enjoy good movies. But I really hate good bad movies, or bad good movies rather. So how I would define that is Hobo with a Shotgun is a bad movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a good movie might be something like Dragonheart. So and that's a good movie. Whereas a bad good movie, to me, I'm gonna catch flack for this, are the Marvel films. I don't know. It's something about them. They're good movies, but they're also just really bad. And I think it's because they're basically making a movie cinematic universe that is so large that this is where I would feel a TV show would be better. Because they're long-ass movies.
The last thing we need is more Marvel content.
Oh yeah, I as a fan of Marvel, I'm saying they've already made too much.
I'd say most Marvel movies are normal movie length.
They are normal movie length, but they're all building into one gigantic narrative.
Okay.
That that is something I would prefer in a TV show more than anything.
See, the way I look at the Marvel movies is, as much as I hate them, they're high production value, and they're doing what you should be doing with movies. Is they're making long form movies that are essentially 3-hour long episodes of a TV show.
I don't think any of them are 3 hours. I think even the like Avengers, like where everyone's joined together, are like 2.5.
Really? Well, anyway,
240 tops probably.
So yeah, they're long. They're on the longer end of.
And most of the individual Avenger episodes are like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I want to say.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Maybe they were just that painful to sit through, but they feel like they're like 2.5 hours each.
So obviously, yes, you guys have different tastes. Like I like the Marvel movies. I enjoy them a lot. But no, see exactly what you don't like about them with the extended universe thing with cinematics. That's what I like. That's what a lot of people I think liked. Like I think that's one of the main reasons for their popularity. It's also a very effective marketing thing because it's like I feel like I want to see every single movie that comes out, but I'm okay with that too. So.
Well, and the other qualm I have with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's not even Marvel, it's just with movies made in these times, is I feel CGI is so overused. I'm so sick of it.
What? That is the future.
I'm so sick of it. No.
Everything will be CGI.
No.
Even the humans will be CGI.
No. If that's where we're going with movies, I'm never going to watch a movie made after
it all
like 2000.
Depends on how they make the movie and how well they fit all the effects and the lighting and the acting and the motion capture and all that shit together. Because in the early 2000s, you have the like really crappy CGI with otherwise like a normal set with normal props, and the visual disparity is very obvious and jarring, and I hate it.
See, I think you guys are just sensitive. I've watched Star Wars, and the only movie I've ever noticed CGI in is The Hobbit.
Well, The Hobbit's a good one to talk about for CGI because it's
the whole damn thing is CGI.
It's very lifeless and boring, and so I understand.
I only noticed the CGI with the armies at the end.
Oh.
That was my only complaint about use of CGI in a movie,
like I said,
is the armies at the end of the last
one. The lighting and the special effects and the CGI together look terrible.
Yeah, The Hobbit was for me is one of the worst offenders of it. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks I thought some of those were some of the best looking movies I've seen.
But like now a lot of the CGI in the Marvel stuff, I thought it looked fine. The way it generally is though is it's better in theaters and worse at home. It's more
I will agree with that.
It's more jarring at home for whatever reason. Like it's more noticeable and it kind of takes you out of it.
Do you have a different opinion?
I've never noticed CGI except for The Hobbit. In that specific scene.
I don't know. Are you just that dense?
You know those special movie features where they have like the directors talk over the movie?
Yeah.
So you don't have any audio? I could do that and just point out all the CGI in pretty much any movie in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And like I could just nonstop point it out to you, and
like some things are obvious that it's CGI because like they couldn't have actually done that. But like I wouldn't know. I couldn't be like, oh, will you see this line here?
Yeah. Well, even still, if you're getting to the point where it's like, well, you see this line here, that's because the whole scene is CGI'd. And I hate it.
Oh, it's like the Love, Death, and Robots, the second episode. It's just like so close to realism that I'm excited for the future of that.
See, I've heard good things about Love, Death, and Robots. I just haven't put away the time to watch it. No, see, for me, the reason I like going to see a movie, and it's why I love 80s films so unconditionally, is that I want to see people who worked on a set have really good set design. Even if the special effects suck, I want the real look, and for me, CGI just does not do it.
So it sounds to me like you're like the movie equivalent of the Amish, where you want a certain time period of movie technology in effect and nothing from beyond that.
Yes, you are actually correct.
And like this comes back to the humanity thing, where it's like, I don't care that humans worked on this. For all I know, these could all be completely computer-generated people with computer-generated voices and a computer-generated set. As long as it entertains me, that's all I care about.
Nah, dude. See, for me, like, and That's why I like the old like action 80s flicks, as cheesy as they are. Just seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger like blow up like a tank, it's satisfying to watch. I think it's great. I would watch any of like the Rambo or like anything made by Arnold Schwarzenegger till the end of time if it means I never have to see a Marvel movie ever again.
I think really what you like about those movies is because everything is real and there's no CGI, pretty much, and the special effects are special effects, but they're real. Like you know, the explosions are real, but they're
they're cheesy.
But the way everything works together is it fits the same aesthetic. Whereas, again, I really hate early 2000s movies because it's like everything's real and normal like in the 80s, except then all of a sudden there's these really bad CGI like mixed in and it just looks like shit to me.
I just don't know how you see it.
And you've watched Dragonheart?
Yeah.
And you can't see some of the bad CGI?
It's they can't get a real dragon. What do you want? Like, let's get on that genetic editing here. Create a dragon.
No, but I'm saying like some of the fire effects that they use.
Oh no, I never noticed stuff.
Really?
Like that. No.
Fire's
also
the
haven't
most
seen that
noticeable
movie.
low grade CGI.
Yeah, for me,
I hate.
Practical effects are just so wasteful. Like, why actually blow something up when you can just computer generated blow it up?
Well, I'm not against computerized explosions and flame. It's just
as long as it looks good.
In the early 2000s, the tech was,
I guess I just haven't. I didn't really watch. Bad. I maybe watched like a handful of movies in my life until more recently. And it's like I don't watch movies.
I understand it's not everything. It's not going to like make me not watch the movie at all because there was one shitty explosion. Like obviously it's just like to get the point across. There was an explosion, and you know what explosions are. Like I understand from a narrative perspective, the effects don't have to be cutting edge.
Like I don't get how you notice it when you're watching a movie.
I can't not see it. But,
yeah.
Although to be fair, I'm also one of those people that really doesn't like the super high def TVs because everything looks like shit to me on them.
Really?
Yeah, because everything's too real. I can see it's a set. I can see where they have the lights on the set. Everything just looks terrible. Like it looks. I mean, I know it's fake because
maybe I'm just able to suspend disbelief.
But it's like
better.
On those special TVs, everything looks like a soap opera, like shitty quality, like that level of bad.
I guess a really good example of where CGI for me is used, and I can understand why they used it, but it felt too kind of forced, were the original Hellboy movie.
Okay.
Because when they have the Hellhounds, Samaels, they had an actual person in the Samael outfit for most of the fights in that movie. Dude couldn't see, so it was choreography hell. So like he had to get shit right. But then there's parts of the movie where they're like crawling through like the sewers and stuff, and you can very obviously see that it's not a real person like crawling around with like wires and shit. They CGI'd it. And while I get it, and the movie is still great, to me, it just, because they had the person in the Samael costume, why didn't they just either CGI all of it to keep the continuity? You know, it's all CGI'd so it all looks the same.
Yeah.
Or pony up the dough to make a stunt double do the shit that they were CGI. When it's what you said, like it's the early 2000s where it's just not meshing and it looks poor.
To put this into perspective, I didn't even realize until we watched The People versus George Lucas, a terrible documentary, that Jar Jar Binks is CGI.
Come on.
So
you have to be...
Nope, I am not even joking.
Your opinion does not matter and your feelings are irrelevant.
I didn't realize he was CGI. I thought he was either like an animatronic or an actor in a costume.
He uses his tongue to catch a fly out of the air.
Never occurred to me.
Those are...
I never noticed it. People talk about it like it's a glaringly obvious.
The entire prequel trilogy is glaringly obvious with its shoddy CGI. It's
Episode 3 was okay.
Yeah, because it later in the 2000s.
Yeah, it came out later, yeah.
But even so, a lot of the, those movies are bad for other reasons we'll get on later in the episode.
You shut your dirty whore mouth.
I love the
all
movies.
The Star Wars movies
but they are objectively worse movies.
You just pissed off a ton of prequel memers.
And I'm okay with that.
The first movie is probably the worst movie that has ever been made.
Phantom Menace?
I don't know.
The
Star
things-
Wars 1.
Because I think the thing we're getting at with movies is there's a lot of things. It's not just the story. It's not just the length. It's not just the special effects. It's not just choreography. All these things, the camera work, they all kind of blend together, and it's actually a really complex medium.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of the mediums that rivals filmmaking in its complexity and supersedes it is most definitely video games as well.
Yeah, that's
like
another...
I feel like video games are going to be the next, if they're not already, the premier form of getting media.
That
soon.
could be its own episode on its own, to be honest.
That's
Yeah.
also preference. Like, not everybody likes to interact.
That's true. I don't know. And I feel like there are genres that have just died out. No, I'm not going there. I promise you, I'm not going to noir.
Make your point.
I promise.
That's Gary dragging out his soapbox.
I put it away. No, I just there's genres that don't seem to be. It's hard for them to keep up. What was the last good fantasy movie that came out? Really?
Well,
I'm talking pure fantasy, kind of like a la Dragonheart, Lord of the Rings, Dark Crystal,
with
Labyrinth,
putting
things
all
like
movies
that.
on a hold for a year or more, and since I went to college, I haven't kept up with movies a lot, to be honest. So it's hard.
I've kept up with what's been coming out. I haven't obviously gone out and seen every movie that's ever come out.
Fantasy movie. Honestly, the last one I remember seeing would be The Hobbit. I honestly don't know if I've seen one since then.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I've seen a good, really sci-fi movie come out. I mean, I might be wrong there too.
Depends
All
what you
the
mean by
Marvel movies?
sci-fi, because
Those are superhero movies.
a lot of people push the boundary with sci-fi or call it fantasy sci-fi and try to merge the two, and it depends what you mean by sci-fi, because the last one I saw came out within the last year is called Tenet, and it's not super sci-fi, but it has time travel and stuff in it, and a lot of sci-fi movies nowadays are action films with a sci-fi reskin.
Netflix is doing a lot of them too. I know I Am Mother, which is something I think we should all watch. I don't know anything about it. That's how I
Just
prefer
heard
to
it's
go
good?
into movies. I haven't even heard that it's good.
Oh,
It looks interesting from the picture I saw.
And you know what? That's probably another thing. If I see a movie and from the little blurb, if it doesn't sound interesting, I'm never gonna watch that movie.
I prefer to go into movies with zero knowledge. I try not to
Really?
read those blurbs. I don't like seeing trailers. If I'm going to watch a movie, I want to go in and watch it without any context.
I would too, but I have to read something and see some amount of something before I'll commit to the movie.
Nope.
So
I got time.
So wait, with that being said, how the hell did we end up watching Hobo with a Shotgun?
because you just pick random movies and you're like, let's watch this. And I'm like, okay, why not? You're at my house sleeping over. Let's just watch whatever.
That's fair.
It's not like I'm going off on my own to watch a movie that have zero interest in.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, I would never sit down to watch a movie voluntarily.
So we have to force you to sit down and watch a movie?
Like if we decided as a group that we wanted to watch a movie, that's a group activity. I'm not gonna go on my own and be like, oh, you know what I want to do right now? Watch a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, why would I do that?
Well,
It just feels like a waste of time.
For exactly what you said with video games. Sometimes I don't want to interact with stuff, so I just want something passive, TV and movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's
Can't. I always that's like something with me. I always have to be doing something.
and that's where I will agree. Watching a movie is definitely more of a group activity for a lot of people, but I definitely can just sit down and just chill and watch a movie.
No, I
Oh,
can't.
yeah, totally.
I feel like I'm
100%.
wasting
Yeah.
time. I can't even sit down to watch TV shows by myself most of the time. Unless I'm like sick and I can't physically do anything
You
besides watch
seem
TV.
to lack a level of chill though as well.
Wait, you sit all day at a desk to work, but does that count? Or, guess
I get
video
paid
games
to do
count?
that.
Yeah,
I know, but like you feel like the kind of person that would go mad at like a desk job or sitting down all day.
That's because he's not just
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I am.
I
So-
heard I heard a certain landscaper's looking for work.
Hey, man.
That's why I wanted to go into law enforcement originally, because it's an active job. But, like,
we're hiring.
people are shitty.
We're
Yeah,
hiring.
you can't pay me what I can get paid at work. I'm more likely to become financially independent by just working a job I hate for a couple years than I am getting paid half the amount and working for you.
But you'll be thinner.
I can do that on my own.
But you can do it and get paid. Just saying.
Like, that's why I don't sit down and just watch a movie. Like, that's why movies don't interest me unless I'm doing it as a group activity.
I think the main appeal of movies is, unlike a TV show, right? Unless it's like an anthology or an episodic, whatever, is it's just like one story wrapped up, from beginning to end, one sitting, no commitment beyond that. The story's over. Which, right? I think that's what a lot of people like about movies. You and I kind of get into this. We don't like that because I prefer an extended story that can tell the full story in the detail it wants to tell it in. And
if I'm going to take the time to watch something, I'd rather watch something that has a body to it.
So do cliffhanger movies bother you? Or cliffhanger anythings bother you?
No.
What do you mean by
only if they don't finish whatever it was.
Cliffhanger movies?
Then that's
because
just
some
annoying.
movies end ambiguously, and that's, to me, different than a cliffhanger.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Because I actually like movies that end ambiguously.
Really?
It's your own. You have to interpret. Make your own interpretation on what actually happened. How did it actually end? Well,
I don't like that. I like things being wrapped up neatly. Because I don't know. Laura would know the word for this because she's in the film class right now, which is why I've been watching a lot of movies that I have known nothing about. She's like, oh, I have to watch this movie for my class. Do you want to watch it with me? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll watch them with you. And she's like, okay, like this. I'm like, no, don't tell me what it's about.
Just let me.
The name's fine. I'm just gonna sit down. And I'm gonna watch it, and I think I enjoy the movies a lot better because there's a certain level of meta knowledge and thinking ahead, like, oh, well, I know what this is about. That kind of can sometimes ruin movies or make them less enjoyable.
Yeah, and
like I have no expectations for the movie. I'm just sitting down and watching it for what it is.
Which is why you tend to especially dislike popular movies because they get hyped up a lot, right? And people say these movies are great. And then you're like, I don't see anything special here.
That's part of my problem with it.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Like if I were to see a Marvel movie
or Star Wars.
No, not Star Wars. I just don't like Star Wars as a movie. They're just boring.
I think you're wrong, but it's okay.
But like with the Marvel movies, like if I were to watch them outside of context, like I can recognize their high production, they're entertaining movies, but I don't like the concept. I don't like superheroes, so I'm not going to like a Marvel movie, regardless of what the hype is. You're right, there is a certain level of they're definitely not as good as everybody makes them out to be. They're good movies, but they're not that, like...
Because I kind of like going into movies kind of blind for that reason, too. I don't like people to tell me, oh, this movie's amazing, you have to see it.
Because that's a
Because
spoiler.
then I'm going to be constantly looking for or at flaws and be like...
Yeah.
And this is where I'm kind of weird. If I'm going to a movie theater, I want to go into that movie blind. Which is weird because I'm paying more money to go for a blind experience. But if I'm watching it at home... I want to know a little bit more about the movie than going in blind. I don't know why.
I'm the reverse. Because I hate going to movie theaters, so I make damn sure that movie I'm going to see is good.
And see, that's where me and Aaron are different from you, because we both kind of enjoy the movie-going experience, to an extent.
Yeah, so if I could get the sound and screen quality of a movie theater at my house... then I wouldn't necessarily be inclined to go to a movie theater. But the big screen is a different experience. The size, the sound, the audio. Like I know people can get surround sound at home and stuff, but it's not the same at all. Like the big IMAX theaters and stuff. It makes a big difference, and it's more more involved, I guess.
But the screen is one of my biggest complaints about movie theaters because it always feels lower quality than if I were to put the movie on my TV at home.
Depends on the theater, in my experience, because I've gone to several IMAX and non-IMAX movie theaters, and you can very much tell the difference between the two. The non-IMAX films, it can get grainy. Absolutely.
I also think you guys just haven't been experienced to the right surround sound yet.
Oh no, my grandfather had a really nice setup, and it really made a difference. but
But it's still not
still
the same.
not the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's better because you don't have to leave your house.
But see,
No, I agree. If it was an equivalent experience,
but
it's
again,
not.
we get into the point where you guys don't want to leave your house. I'm actively looking for reasons to go out into the real world and do things like go to the movies. Like, I love the entire movie theater experience, sans how much it costs to buy a fucking bag of popcorn.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. And yes, it's nice to go somewhere to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah, I agree. I do experience
That's what I really love. I like the movie going experience. I mean, like, I love the whole like going someplace to eat, having a couple of drinks, going to watch a movie, and then talking about it afterwards, like, you know, on the ride home. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole thing. Yeah, we could get together and we could watch a movie, we could have a couple of drinks, we could order food in, we can make popcorn. Yeah, that's great. It is not the same.
Right, it's better.
No.
But yeah,
It's not.
Expectations
I
definitely
will never
matter.
go to a movie theater with you, Gary.
Oh, come on,
I
dude.
hate movie theaters.
Please, not even on my birthday.
Fine, on your birthday.
Yes. Awesome.
Because part of the issue I have with movies nowadays is I generally expect most movies that come out to be bad
Same.
because they're modern, and I swear movies are just getting worse. And so most movies that come out in a year, I'm not interested in seeing. Like, it's only once in a blue moon that I actually like, okay, this movie's come out in theaters and I want to go see it.
That's how I kind of feel with the Mortal Kombat movie. I didn't go to see it last weekend. I'm going to see it this Friday, hopefully. And like, I know it's a ton of CGI. I already know that. But I'm willing to put that qualm aside because I love Mortal Kombat. And because I want to see this movie. Because the only
they aren't going to actually be ripping people's spines out?
All right, listen, I'm not that dumb. Like, but the only Mortal Kombat movies we have are the shitty ones from the 90s. And now we're getting, like, a new Mortal Kombat film that actually looks pretty friggin' good. So from everything I've seen so far, it looks pretty... So I'm excited. Very much so. The one thing I will say, too, is I'm kind of sad that genres seem to, like, getting back to the point, genres seem to not exactly be dying, but they're just becoming amalgamous with other genres, I'll say.
Analogous?
Is it
word?
analogous?
I don't know quite what you mean.
Analogous is not the word.
Yeah, analogous isn't the word.
They're
They're
I think what you're
becoming too
trying
much
to
the
say
same.
is that, yeah, it's an amalgamation. I think is the word you're looking for, and you're trying to come
Is
up with
amalgamous really not a word?
I don't know if it is.
We'll have to
It
ask
might be.
Laura.
I don't know if there. If it. Yeah. I don't know if there's a verb.
Is it a verb?
Use of that?
It's an
'Cause
adjective.
yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming too amalgamous. Amalgamous is, yeah.
I think you're making stuff up, Gary.
I'm probably
Anyway,
making stuff
I think it's just the natural evolution of cinema is that movies are changing towards what people want to see.
It's, to me, yeah. See, the biggest limitation for movies and TV shows is budget, marketing, and the free market, right? They have to be profitable enough to keep them running and stuff like that, which generally pushes movies to have a broad appeal, not get too crazy in their storytelling, don't deviate from the winning formula so much, right? And it makes them all kind of boring and lame.
See, this is where I would disagree with you to an extent because indie films have had kind of a renaissance. A lot more indie films are getting more exposure. They're getting better runtimes. More theaters are putting independent films into their establishments to be seen because they're not the big box office, like multiple tens of millions of dollars to make this film. It's not a story that is formulaic. It's been told before, you know, yada yada this, yada yada that. It doesn't have big name actors, but we're still seeing them like do quite well at the box office and in general grossing a lot back relative to their cost. So I think we have reached a point where people aren't breaking the formula like they should be because they're too afraid of what works. But I think that has led to people are getting exhausted by the formula, that they're moving more towards like these independent films that are different and weird. And yeah, maybe they don't have Tom Cruise or freaking Chris Pratt in them or whatever, but they're still fantastic films.
Well, yeah, no, I'm very excited for the future of filmmaking, especially with streaming and things like that, and technology making better looking movies cheaper, easier to make. Streaming where you don't have to have some big hit necessarily. Like, you can start doing weird, strange things, subvert tropes, subvert genres, and do cool things that will appeal to a smaller audience, but they can still be made nowadays.
That's why TV shows are beautiful. It's a lot cheaper to create a pilot for a TV show than it is to create a whole movie.
But imagine if all TV shows could have the production quality of movies. That would be awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for them to come out with more like VR movies
No.
or TV shows.
I think that's a fad.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be something that's that widespread.
What is a VR movie?
Exactly what it says on the box. It's like it's a movie that you experience from the perspective of virtual reality.
Oh, is this like that one movie I saw the trailer for on Netflix? I wanted to see where it's like
Danger Harry.
You're
or
like
whatever it was?
it's like you're in a first person video game.
Yes. But you'd have like the headset on and you'd be
You'd be like immersed.
which is why I think it's more of a fad than it is.
Because that movie, I don't know anything about it except there's some unnamed character. It's like a meme.
I think it's like Danger Harry or something like
something
that.
like that. And it's like, oh, you're like playing a character in a video game, and the world revolves around you, and it's this weird. And I want to see that movie just because it's like that weird kind of quirky thing.
I would love to watch that movie, but I get way too motion sick. I tried. It did not go well at all.
And you want VR.
Well, no, I'm saying I'm not saying I want VR. I said I'm intrigued. Maybe I did say I want VR, but I'm interested to see where it goes because I think when you start getting it into the mindset of like if VR movies or VR TV shows become like more mainstream as VR picks up popularity, which it's done pretty exponentially in the last couple of years, is you get to start doing those weird and interesting things that you were talking about with film. I'm thinking of a movie where the entire perspective is from a bystander watching some crazy shit go down. Like, kind of like the found footage genre of like the Blair Witch or Cloverfield, things like that. Okay. You know what I mean? Because like
Cloverfield was interesting for that too. It's a different perspective, and it breaks up the movie formula. It makes it different, and it's
Now just imagine Cloverfield, but in VR, where it's more immersive.
I'm not a big VR person in general, but so Cloverfield, like, it's not an amazing movie, but like those weird quirky things it does with the camera work and the found footage and stuff like that sets it apart and makes it interesting to watch at least once. Right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I saw Tenet within the last year or whatever. It has interesting camera work and footage. It's not like a mind-blowing revolutionary sci-fi movie, but like that alone makes it interesting to see, and I want to share it with people.
So would you say Tenet was a good movie? Because I saw some reviews that trashed it.
Exactly. Because, again, from a story perspective and whatever, it's nothing revolutionary. It's not the most sense, it doesn't make the most, it doesn't tie everything in a neat bow. It's not, like, amazing. But, like, to me, I like the camera work and the way they shot scenes and stuff, and it's really interesting to see, at least once. It's not going to be, like, a classic or something, but it's worth seeing.
It's funny you say classics, too.
Because I like movies like that. Hold on. And I like movies like District 9. Like, they're not, again, they're not amazing as a movie, whatever, but the way they show things and provoke thoughts and on things. In that movie, the whole thing was like racism and, discriminating against, in this case, an alien species, but it's like a personified or amplified version of the way we treat certain groups of people in this world. And it's really just, I don't know, it's interesting to shed light on things like that. And so as a storytelling element, movies like that are intriguing to me.
Yeah. District 9 was definitely unique.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a hit movie, but it's worth seeing once.
Refresh my memory. What was District 9 about again?
That's you're in South Africa, and they have like a concentration camp for the aliens that showed up around major cities around the world, and they have their ships floating above the city. But it's not like a super advanced alien race that's threatening us. It's like a super advanced alien race that has like declined, and they're all like stuck here on Earth, and they don't really have like amazing technology anymore, and we kind of take them in as refugees. But they have to,
I don't think I've seen it.
It's weird.
It's just
like I like
weird.
that. I like weird, provocative movies like that.
Yeah, I definitely.
So does Gary.
I do. I do. I really enjoy like the strange, the weird, provocative movies. I liked the Human Centipede movies. Those were bizarre.
I don't see those. They're not the right kind of provocative.
So
I like gore. Don't get me wrong.
I'll put it like this: I liked the first one, and then I watched the other two out of spite because the first one, it's so screwed up. It's so bizarre. It's like watching a train wreck. You can't look away. The second one is scarring, and then the third one was just a cash grab. I like the stuff that kind of turns into a meme as soon as it's put out. Like, after Human Centipede came out, it was a gigantic meme. I don't think I'm disputed on that.
No.
But even movies that aren't a meme or so bad that they're good, I do like the provocative movies that do that just destroy the tropes that you would expect their genre to have.
Yeah, like, well, I don't know if this is exactly what you're touching on, but I like movies that don't necessarily have a good ending, whether you expect them to or not. And again, it's equally boring if every movie ends badly as if every movie ends good.
Well, yeah.
But, like, I like it to be uncertain, and, like, I could actually reasonably expect this to end badly, and sometimes be surprised that it does.
Yeah, I'm okay with being disappointed in a bad ending if it was appropriate for the movie. Because, like, just the other day, I watched 2 films, and both of them had bad endings, but they were appropriate for the movie. So while I was upset, I still loved the movies.
What do you mean
Why would you be upset or disappointed that it's a bad ending?
So
do you mean like bad quality or bad
like,
moral?
as in, like,
anticlimactic, not
like,
dramatic?
like bad as in like the no
The hero loses?
Yes.
Okay.
Hero loses kind of ending.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's...
Like, the one of them was Chinatown. You guys have never seen that movie, and you're never going to see that movie because it's a noir film. So I'm not even going to get into it. But the second movie was called Mud, and it's about 2 kids who find a hobo living in the woods. I promise you it's not my life. They find a hobo living in the woods, and they're helping him out. They find out he's a wanted criminal, and that he's trying to get away with his girlfriend, like, to Mexico. And the whole movie's about, like, finding love, what does love mean, yada yada this, yada yada that. But the ending, it's just so unsatisfying because the two kids think that the hobo died and didn't get away. They lose their houses. The one kid doesn't fall in love like he was trying to. And it's just like, it's such a train wreck of an ending because, like, it's literally all the bad parts of the film.
So you like the fairy tale endings?
No, I think what he's getting at is that movie is missing catharsis at the end. Where,
Yes.
karma
You want to
comes
see
around.
everybody get what they want.
Not even everybody.
There's
just,
like literally nobody in this movie.
yeah,
So-
literally.
Yeah,
well,
what's
no,
wrong with
actually
that? I don't
false.
understand why
Because
you would be disappointed by that.
Because the hobo does get away. He does end up... the whole shtick is he gets shot.
Because it's satisfying.
What? Why
Like-
do you have to
like,
see people... Like, I don't understand.
Again, I haven't seen John Wick, so you're going to have to tell me into this, but I know it's like a revenge thing, right?
Yes.
If he didn't get revenge, right,
Yeah.
it would be a lot less satisfying of an ending.
What?
Yes.
Not if it made sense in the story.
But when the whole story is based off of his revenge...
But, like, you
So-
don't get, like, a physical feeling of satisfaction
No.
when, like, this bad guy's being a real dick and he finally gets his fucking head cut off. Or...
No, because I'm too busy being pissed off that they didn't shoot him fucking an hour and a half ago.
What I think what we're trying to say more is, if you sat through a movie for 2 hours and the whole shtick of the film is this guy is going to get his revenge, and at the end of it he gets shot in the head and dies and fade to black.
Yeah, if that made sense, that would be an awesome
Like,
end.
I'm not against that. No, like I said, I don't like when the hero or the protagonist always, accomplishes the goal mission accomplished. But at the same time, there is a physical feeling of enjoyment, catharsis.
Nope.
Not every movie can do it. It depends on what control you
I've
have. So.
never...
But it's the same thing. It's like
I've
in,
never felt that in any
like in
movie I've ever
Gladiator
watched.
when he's able to kill the emperor or whatever. Like,
Yes.
it's that kind
Like,
of
that's
stuff.
a-
I
yes.
I just don't... I don't know if it's just the movies are too... Because I've had that feeling with TV shows sometimes, but I've never had that with a movie.
Okay, because that's...
I'm never attached enough to a character
But you
to
know what we're
care.
talking about.
I didn't think it happened in movies.
Oh.
Well, that's just...
Because like a
That's
movie,
just
you're just
you,
telling
though.
a shorter story. Like...
That's still just you, though.
Actually, no. Maybe it hasn't even happened in TV shows. Because I'm trying to think of an example now, and I can't even come up with anything. You're an outside observer. Why do you care if the main character gets what they want? Why
Because
is
you
that
get immersed
satisfying?
in the
If you
story.
don't, if you can't relate and don't give a shit about anything happening, then yeah, you're already lost. Like, don't watch a movie. Like,
Yeah.
But that's all movies. I never get...
I
don't
Then you're
understand.
not
We're
watching
calling
movies
you
right.
out as a weirdo and an anomaly.
Yeah, because if you can do that for TV shows but not for movies, like that is weird.
I understand why
I
you don't
have
like
to do it for
movies. If
either.
that's the case,
I don't do it for either, though.
Then why do you enjoy TV shows then?
Because
though?
they're entertaining.
Okay, but why?
Because things happen. I don't know.
Things happen in movies too. Like, what are you talking
But I don't
about?
get, like, attached to the main characters.
In TV shows or movies.
Both.
Then what's the point of watching either?
Because things happen. I don't understand.
Neutral third party. Good guys could win. Bad guys could win. Everybody could die in an unrelated nuclear explosion.
Yeah, as
Doesn't
long
matter
as
to
the
me.
story makes sense. It's telling it's telling a story. I am watching it for that story.
It's just such a weird like perspective to like sit down to
I feel
watch a
sorry
movie.
for you. Like,
Yeah.
Why?
Do you read books for pleasure too?
Yes, they're telling a story, definitionally speaking.
So do you get attached to the characters in the book?
No.
You are a
What the
robot.
fuck?
Weirdo.
You've just dropped on the humanity tier list pretty fucking
I don't
far.
understand what like I'm not trying to relate to these people. I'm there for the story.
I'm not trying to either. It happens. It's
But
automatic. It's
but you
subconscious.
learn
But they're so unrelatable. I've never watched a movie or a TV show where the people in it are actually relatable.
I think that's one of the things that defines good movies is being able to draw people in and that you
Be
feel
emotionally
there are
attached,
stakes
yeah.
and there are emotions. And
I've never watched a movie or a TV show.
Like, yes,
that.
I understand. There are bad movies where I can't attach to these. Like, these characters are caricatures of people. Like, and it's not even.
See, to me, I thought that's just the trope of all movies. Like, all movies and TV shows are obviously just caricatures of these tropes of people. I never thought they were actually supposed to be relatable.
Well, you're right.
Because like, how could anybody possibly relate to any of these
There's
people?
only so much. Yeah, but it's.
You have to suspend your belief. You have to get immersed in the world.
Yeah, I'm immersed in the story. I don't care about the characters. I only care about the story they're telling.
Like, the whole thing with Lord of the Rings is like you watch Frodo's decline as he has to carry this ring, and it warps his mind and causes him.
But I don't feel
tons of
bad
hardship
for him.
and.
You're just a heartless bastard.
But like, why would I feel bad? Like,
It's part of getting into the movie or getting into the TV show or getting into a book or getting into a video game. It's
the
part of
story.
the enjoyment.
How you can be like completely apathetic. Like,
Yeah.
and not find every story in the world boring at that point.
no, what? Because the story's the interesting part. Why do you have to care about the pawns?
But part of the story are the trials and tribulations and the feelings of the characters.
Like,
that you're
Yeah, you
calling
watch
pawns.
that happen, but I don't relate to that.
But if you relate to it, you get another layer of nuance.
Yeah, just depression. The only time,
No.
the only movie it's coming to mind, the only movie that I've ever related to a character is, and I'm forgetting the movie's name now.
Who's the character?
George Bailey.
What?
Miracle. No,
Miracle on 34th Street?
no, it's fucking hell. Oh my god. Hold on.
Well, while you're looking that up, it's like A New Hope, where you see like the opening scene. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And then you see Luke and his parent or his family just gets like murdered and roasted by stormtroopers. And you're like, wow, I'm like, fuck the Empire.
Yeah.
Like, I want to kill every one of these bastards.
And like, if I didn't relate...
Okay, so on that, first of all, it's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, that's a fantastic
I
movie.
relate to George Bailey a lot, and
seen
that makes me sad. It's wonderful. I relate to George Bailey, and that just makes me sad. I don't like that. That movie makes me upset every time. But specifically in Star Wars,
But that's
like,
the point. Hold on, time out. That's the point. That movie is supposed to invoke that feeling.
That's the only movie that ever... Like in Star Wars, when Darth Maul died, I was sad because he's a cool character. I'm like, no, now we don't get to see him anymore.
Like that for me, like if I went through my life taking
And like when Obi-Wan died, I was like, thank God.
What? No, you take that back about Space Jesus.
So boring.
You take that back about Space
so
Jesus.
boring.
You take that back about Space Jesus.
All the Jedi are boring. I could watch them all die and I would be
Mace
satisfied.
Windu is great.
They're all boring.
You're
Yoda
just
is the
wrong.
only entertaining one that I would be sad if he died.
Well, he does die. Spoiler alert. I have to say this. If I went through taking in media, like in any form, the way you just said, where you're just in it for the story and you don't empathize or just get into it enough that you can understand, like, where the characters are coming from.
I have empathy. I can understand where they're coming from in context of the story and why they're going to do certain things.
When I get, like, particularly with
Your
books.
imagination. Like,
Yeah, particularly with books, when I'm reading something and I'm reading or listening to it, and there comes to a part where it's like, I will have a physical, visceral reaction to something happening in the book because I'm that deep into it, right?
I can't.
It's theater of the mind.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything I would ever like.
How do you play D&D then?
What do you mean? You're telling your own story.
Yeah, but like with the way you're talking, like you don't get into your character. Like if everything were to line up and D&D is just an extension of media or medium rather, like do you get into your characters or are you just
not as much as you do? That's for sure.
It depends on
I do struggle to like you seem to like really become your character, whereas I see it as a perspective of I have created this person and I am now telling their story. That person is not me. They are someone that I've constructed a universe around. They act a certain way in certain situations, and I am controlling them to make sure they act that way and act appropriately for what I've created.
It's just strange. You go about movies and TV shows very differently than the
not
general
all movies
public.
are the same. Like action flicks and stuff. Yeah, it's like okay, generic action character does cool things. And
Action movies are fun because it's just
explosions and guns.
Yeah.
but like a lot of movies are not like that.
Like
And
what?
Especially
Like, name a
dramas
movie.
and thrillers.
Yeah.
Like dramas and thrillers, their whole point is to like make you like
That's one
sucked
about it.
into that movie.
So I'm trying
Yeah,
to-
so like
I'm gonna have to think. I had an example and I lost it, so I'm.
like the only thing I can think of is like we'll use Star Wars. Like if at the end of actually I don't fucking remember the movies well enough to know.
Just
But,
describe
like-
the ending. I'll tell you which one it is.
Like at the end, I think it's at the end of the episode 6, where they kill Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader dies and he has this whole redemption arc.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been totally fine, and I think it would have been actually a more interesting ending if Emperor Palpatine would have just killed Luke. Or like Darth Vader would have succeeded and just been like cold-blooded, he doesn't care that he's his son and he just kills him. I think that would have been an equally, and I think even more interesting ending.
Well, they would have had more movies out of it because then Leia becomes the chosen one.
More interesting.
Yeah, because it's what happens in the movie is just like it's boring. I'm like, I know that I can go into that movie and I could tell you how that movie's going.
Again, part of it is the reason Star Wars fans are crazy about the original series is because at the time when they saw it, it was amazing in like every category.
Yes.
Like that's just how the movie was.
And that's how the movie aged, too. Like, you can definitely go back and be like, yeah, this movie kind of sucks.
There's nothing special
Newsflash,
about it
it
anymore.
probably does.
But like at the time, it really took people up, and it was amazing. Like
Especially
That's
with...
not what I'm arguing, first of all.
I know.
We know.
But like, how is it not?
I do agree there might be more interesting ways for the episode 6 to have ended. I will agree with you there. Are there more cathartic ways for it to have ended?
You keep saying this word. I don't understand what you mean. Like, why do
The
you
release
get
of tension.
The release of
Like,
tension.
it's
the
But there's no
resolution.
tension.
Yes, there is!
You're just watching the story.
Oh my god.
The story is going to unfold however the author wants it to unfold.
But you're dense if you cannot put yourself into the world and be like, oh shit, this is it. This is fucking it. It is Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader. And at the end of this, someone's walking out of here and it's either the end of the Empire or the Empire wins. And like, that's the tension. That's what it's all made up. If you can't put yourself into that perspective and like really kind of like feel like when
And again, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's not like Luke would rather die than turn to the dark side, and those kinds of struggles are interesting and entertaining.
Yeah, it's a story. But like I don't understand. Like,
but like you don't like emulate that feeling. Like, yeah, strike me down dead right now. Fuck you. I'm not doing what you tell me. No,
you sound like the crazy one now.
Right?
What was that?
Like on the Death Star when they're doing that battle scene.
Yeah.
All Luke has to do is join the Empire and the dark side.
Right.
And he'll be allowed to live.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, right? He would rather die
Yeah.
than do that. And that's not like an empowering feeling?
No. What? Why? I don't
You
understand.
are inhuman.
I literally can't wrap my head around what you guys are talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, I swear you must be like a fucking robot. Like,
Yeah.
this is interesting. I hope.
It's
Yeah.
a story. A result comes of the story. I would be upset if like the fight, like Luke walks in, Darth Vader's there, they
Just
pick
kills
their
him.
lightsabers up, and then the movie ends. That would be upsetting. That would be a lack of relief because like the whole movie is built up to the end of a story, and they don't give you the end of the story. That would be
okay,
upsetting.
yeah, so that's related. It's a non-cathartic ending but there's more.
It would be like it'd be like reading a book, but you get to the end of the book and someone had cut off the last like
It's not
10
the
pages of the
same
book.
thing at all.
Yeah. Like.
I mean, yes, that's annoying. It's the same. It's a very similar feeling of frustration, but
Wow. I don't know if I can look at you the same way.
I don't understand what you guys mean.
How do you not understand putting yourself into the absorbing yourself into the world? How is that so hard to understand?
I didn't think that's something anybody actually did. I can sometimes like relate and see myself like self-reflect in certain movies, like with It's a Wonderful Life and George Bailey. Like I can self-reflect, but it's not like I want a particular outcome from like of the movie because I see myself in him. That's more of I see what is a part of my personality depicted in media, and it causes me to self-reflect. I don't think that's what you guys are talking about.
No, we're not. We're talking about it.
Because like that's why It's a Wonderful Life makes me emotional, is because I see part of myself I don't like in that character. But it doesn't make me like, if he would have actually successfully committed suicide, I wouldn't have been like sad because that would have just been the end of this. I would have been like, oh, okay, he's dead. That's how they chose to end this story. That's an interesting way to end the story.
Yeah, like it's the whole reason why horror affects some people and not others. Like
Horror movies just make me angry.
right,
I hate horror
and
movies.
probably because you do this shit where like you don't get immersed into the world.
Yeah, because the stories are terrible in horror movies.
You're just not
everybody in
you're
them
just
are
not watching
stupid.
the right ones. You're
Everybody
just
in
not
horror
watching
movies are stupid.
you're just wrong. You're just not watching the good horror movies. Like the reason why some people get really freaked out by horror films is because they're getting into the movie.
To be fair, horror movies, for me to do that, it's harder for me to do that.
Yeah, it's harder for me to do that too.
But it's weird for you to say nothing pretty much like at all does that to you. Like, it's weird.
I
That's really-
can't
know.
wrap my
It's
head
really
around what you're
weird,
talking
dude.
about. Because like even in reading books,
I think you need therapy.
like even when I'm reading books, I don't, and like it's not that I don't empathize with them. Like I can understand where they're coming from, but like I don't.
No,
Like it's not that I'm lack empathy. Like I understand the human tribulations of it.
So you're saying that if you were reading a book and out of nowhere the main character just dies.
As long as it makes sense in the
it's
story.
You can't. It's hard. You can't just like throw out an example. It doesn't work. That
Yeah,
way,
it doesn't
so
work
it's-
that way because that's so weird.
Don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know how to help you, friend.
I can't think of.
Why do I
movies
need
off the top
help?
of my
I
head,
don't get it.
But
Because you could enjoy so much more out of life if you could.
yeah,
But I
I
already
could never
enjoy.
read a book. I could.
I wouldn't be able to,
I
yeah.
understand the feeling that you're
It's
saying.
telling a story. It's why I like D&D.
I understand the idea of I want to know what happens next in this story. It's interesting. That is a component, but it is almost never the main component, unless
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the book really at all. Like
Yeah, like they're two sides of the same coin.
Whoa. You don't read a book to find out what happens.
Well, no, I do, but it's not the main component.
It's two sides of the same coin.
I read a book.
Like I'm saying,
because I like the story.
Right, that is one half of it. The other half of it is the emotional investment in the story. You're working with half a coin here.
That's why it's hard for me to get into a book, but after the first couple chapters, I will literally sit there and read for 12 hours and just finish the book in a day.
I will too.
But you just because you want to know what happens.
I want to find out what happens.
Wow.
It's just...
It helps if the characters are likable, but I won't watch movies or read books that I don't like the characters.
I just can't imagine, my favorite book series ever, and, without the level of emotional investment,
yeah,
it's not like I like.
That's why I never understood.
I didn't make a conscious choice to do it either. It just
when
happens.
Their character in a TV show dies, they get upset. I'm like, why? That's the story. They're dead now. Get over it.
Psychopath.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
No, because a psychopath would be I lack empathy. That's not.
There's still something wrong with you.
But you lack empathy. I don't.
There's still something wrong with you.
They're not real people.
No,
we get that, but it's fun to get into the world like that. That's why I play D&D.
Whoever is listening to this, please, I beg you, tell us we're not crazy.